the senses of self, an ethical dimension of human existence. But before we go along with my topic, we're going to look what will be the overview and the intended learning of this topic. The overview of the topic, we will understand the senses of self. People typically describe the aspect of their identity in a fairly strong sense or of who they are, knowing the purpose and develop the satisfying relationship. The intended learning outcome or the main goal of the report is to discuss the ethical egoism. What is ethical egoism, how it evolved in ourselves, and what is the connections of ethical egoism to the ethical dimensions of the human that oneself is or should be the motivation and the goal of one's own action. The term egoism derived from the Latin word ego and I in English. Egoism should be a distinguish, which means psychological overvaluations of one's own importance or the one's own activities. The ethical theory, known as the ethical egoism, states that we are always morally required to do what is in our own self interest. It prescribes that we should make our own ends or our own interest as a single overriding concern, which means it is normative that this type of theory was on the promotions of one's own good in accordance with morality. Why is it necessary to us to understand egoism? And selfish people often have the nasty disposition towards other people, but ethical egoism generally discourages that. Such selfishness is rarely to our advantage, especially in the long run. And egoism does not suggest that we never help others. Egoism might be a quite generous and an imaginary constructions of the world inhabited by the single being, it is possible that to pursue morality is the same as what to pursue our self-interest. And in that is good for the agent, or what is good for the agent is the same as what is in the agent interest. According to the dictator, conflict is an inherent problem of the ethical egoism. And the model seemingly does not possess a conflict resolution system. The ethical egoist contends that her theory is a fact, it has a resolution to the conflict. A pro-offered resolution is therefore an acceptance of the ethical theory that might is right. That is, the critic maintains that the resolution accepts that the stronger will take a position and hereby or thereby gain proprietary rights. If there is a conflict, there is a resolution involved. And the first resolution proceed from the state of a nature examination, or which means the interest of both is need to be shared for both may enjoy. And the next resolution is about the steam for the critics for fears that ethical egoists could logically pursue their interests at the cost of others. Once it comes from the conclusion needed in a discussion, which means true interaction can either be a violent or peaceful, and ethical egoists reject violence as undermining the pursuit of self-interest. And the third resolution is to entails the insertion of rights as a standard, which means there is an ethical framework and that can be logically be explorated for the ethical egoism. It's clear that we have our interests and desires and would want them satisfied. And the question asks, why should I have any concern about the interest of other? In a sense, this question challenges that in the fundamental way of idea of not just a study of ethics, but also the effort of being an ethical. Why not just look one on self? To examine the ethical egoism, we will take a look into the Plato's Republic, which is Plato's response to the assertion that one should only care about one's own interest. The myth of Aegisth in Plato's Republic, the characters are engaged in the discussions about a justice. Socrates gets his companions to first to consider the question, what is justice? And later, why should one be just? This is what the ethical egoism ultimately translates into not just some pleasant pursuit of one's own desire, but the impositions of who or will to power. And that is a potentially destructive of both the self and the others. And that's all my report all about the ethical egoism. Keep safe and have a good day.